Hello, everybody, and happy Tuesday. Welcome back to my Facebook Live series where I talk with my authors and clients about the process of writing their books. I am so privileged every week of my life to be able to work with people who are changing their lives by telling their stories and having profound experiences with bigger dreams that are coming out of what they're writing with their words. And today, I get to speak with my author, Stephen Stone. And Stephen is an amazing practitioner at what he does. I know this because I've gone to him and I've also sent friends to him. And today we're going to talk about his book that he courageously wrote and speak to him more about the process that he went through and where he's at in that process. So I am going to invite him right now to come live with us. We're going to have a fantastic conversation. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask him, and there he is. Good to see you today.
Oh, good to see you too.
So I just was telling our listeners that if anybody wants to ask a question, either now or on the recording, we'll keep an eye on it. You know, people are always very interested to know, how did you do this? How did you write this book? How did you have this courage and this tenacity to do that? And I guess that's my first question that I'm going to ask you is, you came to me to write this book because you needed support because you're working 70 hours a week.
Yeah.
How did you do it?
It really was, I needed a way to communicate. I knew I needed a way to communicate what I do. People don't understand what I do. I have a national board certification in orthopedics. I'm a licensed acupuncturist. I have 29 years of professional experience in my field, and I've studied things literally from all over the world, and I've studied things all over. And the combination of modalities I use, it's different from anyone else. And you can't communicate that by saying, well, I have a license to practice acupuncture. People don't get it. They've been to an acupuncturist before. I do that. I do a hell of a lot more. You can't say, I do sports therapy. I do that. I do a hell of a lot more. I can't say, I do orthopedic work. I do that. I do a hell of a lot more. But I combine these things. So in order to explain that, in order to explain the fact that I have knowledge because of this combination of training and experience I have that sets me apart from everyone else, the only way to communicate that is really to give examples, to give actual patient histories. And one of my patients actually met you and said, Steve, I think I cracked the code on how you can tell people about what you do, because you do stuff that's like no one else. And I was like, a book. I was like, because I had thought about that. And,
right.
It just hit.
So you are a writer. You were a writer. You know, when we started working together, the fact that you were a writer came out. Especially when we dug a little deeper in some areas. You told me really beautiful stories about your life, your mentor, and some unexpected. How did you write while you were serving all those clients? I think I remember we'd have coaching calls and you'd be between clients.
Yes. And I am the least likely person to have the time to write a book. Because I'm doing house calls, I'm visiting doctors in hospitals, I've snuck into the hospitals, and this is a regular thing where I hope this isn't going to any hospital administrators, where I don't have hospital privileges to treat people, because I do things that no one else does, and I get results no one else does. And so...
So writing the book was you're like, well, what the heck? I don't do anything else conventionally. I might as well add something else to my plate.
So so it was. I mean, I didn't have time to do this, but I was able to do it, and in 12 weeks have a book. So
you did. Yeah. So that's a short period of time, and also what happened to you, I saw that you started to have some bigger realizations about your dreams and your purpose. One was the hospitals, and the other one was a device that you manifested while you were writing the book.
This was while I was writing the book, yes.
While you're writing the book. Do you think that writing the book and looking at your whole past unlocked those realizations?
Absolutely. because as I wrote the book, I saw all of these things that I'd studied over the years. I saw all of these modalities that I kept, and part of the reason I was writing the book, I want to get the word out. There's no way that one-on-one I could teach all the physicians,
Right.
all the surgeons, and all the people in the different scopes of medicine I practice, all the acupuncturists, all the people who do myofascial release and sports therapy, to how do I get them into one room to start talking about, hey, we need to start sharing information. Hey, we need to start working together. And hey, here's some things we can all use that everyone is going to get a better outcome. And one of those modalities, which I saw because I studied things from osteopath background. I studied with osteopaths. I studied with people who did Traeger movement. I studied with sports therapists. When I was studying Chinese medicine, I did what's called Tui Na, which translates as holding and grasping, and some things that did this similar, got a similar physiological effect the same way. But because my training in Western physiology is generally so much better, I did my Western training at UCLA and used a cadaver, than most of the people who use these other modalities that were getting these results. I was able to piece together all these people and all these modalities, come up with a better way of achieving all those results. And as that was combined in my head, met a designer who could help me design a device to do this. So now,
yes, and I know it's proprietary, so I won't say anything about it. But
I can't. The attorney's gonna be down my throat if I. It's amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah.
I plan on changing the medical paradigm with this. It's that powerful. It works that well.
Right.
So.
And that's how powerful writing is when you really start to go through, oh my God, over 29 years I've done this. And you're a young guy.
Exactly.
And you have the opportunity for the next 40 plus years to really capitalize on how can I position myself now that I know what I've done to go to the next. And you'll probably have another book in you. There'll probably be the book, What's Next? And
I've got a few other things, and using all these modalities, I've seen several things. There's several other devices I want to create now that I'm kind of see how that route works, and that are totally possible and that will help so many people, hundreds of millions of people. And again, each one of these could save literally hundreds of billions of dollars a year in the medical system here in the United States, if not more.
It's really powerful.
Yes.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I also know from working with you that you healed yourself, and a lot of the work you did to learn how to help people came from actually healing your own injuries.
Yes.
Surfing,
yes.
Right?
Surfing, yeah, and other things, but I've had a number of accidents. But I had a background. I surfed competitively, and as I say, I surfed on the college surf team at UCSD. I tore the meniscus in my right knee when I was 19 and had to have surgery. Wow. And I was told by my surgeon, don't run, and you're going to have arthritis by the time you're 35 after the surgery. And I was like, well, I'm an athlete. Like, what do I do?
That's what I right.
Running is sort of essential to being an athlete of any kind. It's just a great exercise. So 3 months after the surgery, also, the knee swelled back up. And I was left with, what do I do? So I learned so much because I went out and I already had skills. I started working with other practitioners. I started working with sports therapists. I started working with physical therapists. While I was still in undergrad, trying to do trades and treat some of their patients to get trades to figure out how to treat my knee. So I learned from things from them all along. And the thing that really set me free and helped the knee was A, acupuncture, and B, studying biomechanics and how connective tissue builds up in the body and how weight distribution patterns affect that and how muscle contraction patterns affect that. And that solving those problems, doing acupuncture and solving those biomechanical problems in my knee is why today I'm stronger than I've ever been. I'm pushing over 1,200 pounds with one leg.
Amazing.
Yeah. And this is, and I do triathlons now. I did my first triathlon at I was 37 years old. And my surgeon said, you're going to have arthritis by the time you're 35. I don't think so.
Yeah. So it's like that. What I say to a lot of people is that people that write books generally have healed something within themselves.
Yes.
And then they feel the calling and the power and the passion to bring that to millions of people.
Yeah.
Because they don't want them to suffer like they have, right?
Yeah. And I'm never going to reach all those people talking to one physician at a time or one patient at a time.
No, so you have to write a book.
Yeah. So I need to share the knowledge I have. I'll never be able to treat all those patients. I've got to share the knowledge and share it with other practitioners so other people can pick up on this and more patients get better results. I'm putting together pieces that other people haven't before.
Right.
So how do I get that out when it hasn't been done before? I can't say I do this. No one knows what this is.
Right.
So
right.
I've got to describe it.
Exactly.
So,
and in a book that you can leave on someone's desk or mail to someone, or, show you're really serious. I think it also shows you're really serious about what you do.
Exactly. So that's why it worked out. It was great. So, and again, I didn't have the time for this, but the way we worked together allowed the space for that to open. And a chapter a week, it seems impossible, but it happened. So
right. Yeah. And the pacing, do you feel like that pacing, even though it was quick, do you think it actually opened you up to like a higher superhighway of thought, or what do you think about the pacing?
I think you have to do it with that pacing. If you're super busy, if you start letting things go for even a week, and there was weeks where I didn't do as good of a job and maybe the chapter wasn't totally done, but then I picked it right back up, particularly after we have a meeting, I'd pick it right back up. And I'm busy, I'm doing things. I'm talking to physicians. I'm trying to make things happen in the world of medicine as well as treating all these patients.
Right.
So,
So you finished your first draft. And I think when we started working together, I wasn't even doing second drafts with clients. Now I do second drafts with clients. So, because I see that what happens is people do a first draft and then they don't do anything with it. And then I saw the need, oh my God, I have to actually take people to the end. Like I can't take them this far and then drop them. I feel it. Like I'm like, something's not finished. So I know that you're waiting until your device is completed.
Yeah, because I've written a chapter about that too. It's got to be in there.
That's an important
Or I'm doing a second
chapter.
book on that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think the message for people is continuing forward for the first and the second draft is really important so you don't get delayed. But if you have something you need to add in there, make sure you follow that through, but then get back on top of it so that you can get that message out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Tell me what your favorite part about writing was.
I mean, I'm a creative person, so I like to write anyway, but it was working on how to express, because I'm always trying to I'm talking to physicians and surgeons, and they don't necessarily have the background in biomechanics and connective tissue and soft tissue that I have, and how that affects, weight distribution affects that and whatnot. And some do and some don't. And so working on that allowed me to really talk about how to express that to different people, because this is a broad book that's going out to patients, lay people with no training in physiology, and also expert surgeons who have expert knowledge of physiology, but don't necessarily have the biomechanical training I do, or the knowledge in soft tissue and connective tissue, and how muscle contraction patterns and biomechanical patterns and weight distribution patterns affect those. So I've got to combine and in a concise way communicate to all those different people all these different knowledge that I have. And so working on that helps me when I actually approach a physician or a new patient or something like that. So
yeah, and I think that I was a good sounding board because I knew zero.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So if I understood it, it was like, okay, well, the layperson must get it,
Yeah. So if I have to go through it again with you, then that's like a patient who walks in and goes, my knee hurts, I don't know why. Or they did an MRI and they said this was wrong, and can you fix it? Or they said they were going to try to do physical therapy, that didn't work, instead of surgery. And it's like, do I have a prayer? And now I've got it. In order to get them on board, to do the exercises I'm going to recommend, to do the stretches I'm going to recommend, the best way to do that is for them to understand it too.
Right.
So I got to communicate with the patients. I'm like an educator. I try to educate all the patients, and here's what's going on. Here's how you fix it. Because again, I had knee pain for 10 years after my surgery, which was supposed to fix it. And it could act up, and I could have, pain every step for like 6 weeks at a time. And that's not a fix to me. And when I actually figured out the biomechanical problems and fixed those, all of a sudden I got freedom, and I don't have problems anymore. So.
Right. And you were able to write about that.
Yeah.
And there's so many people walking around with pain that are not being administered the proper treatment.
Exactly.
Or even running or on the surfboard.
Yeah, and just like me, they had the surgery, but the physical therapy and the other modalities didn't get them back to 100%. And I'm at about 100, maybe 200% of what I was. I'm way stronger than I've ever been. I can do triathlons. I surf all. I mean, I don't have problems anymore, and I want that result for all of my patients. So I got to spread the news, or all, not even all of my patients. How about all the patients who have knee surgeries or shoulder surgeries or other things? Right. So.
Well, it's
how
all
do you
in
spread
the
the news?
It's all in the book.
It's all in the book.
It's all in the book.
So
how can people find you? What do you want to have a website, or is there somewhere that they can come for your services, or do you have any way that they can get in touch with you before your book gets published?
Yeah, the website is under construction right now. So if you pull that up, it'll probably be like under construction to stevestoneacupuncture.com. People can, I have a blog, I have a Facebook page. People can email me they can email Steve at stevestoneacupuncture.com.
Okay, great.
And I'll be happy to help and happy to spread the good news that there is a better way of treating people. There is a better result, and the medical device I've created will do that as well. Literally, it's going to help hundreds of millions of people.
You're a very passionate person. You're very dedicated, and that's what has to be in place to write a really good book.
Yeah.
There has to be a mental state that you have to have across all levels of your life, and then you get an even greater life when you do it. So if anybody wants to get in touch with me and do with me what I did with Steve, you can reach me at astoryinside.com, and I have all levels of programs for people. And it was great talking to you. It's great seeing you.
Yeah, it's good seeing you.
And let's talk about getting your book finished soon.
All right. It's getting published.
You have a good day.
Okay,
Bye.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.